Hello and good global greetings, friends, and welcome to Let's Talk About It with Danelle Boyles coming to you from the United States. I like to call these little opener conversations our 10-minute talks as we hit key important topics in compacted conversational format. Today, in our 10-minute talk, we are taking a few for some chat and expand time, so come join me and let's talk about it. Today, we will be having join us Maya from Sesame in a brief but very important conversation on the secret of science behind happiness and how to cultivate joy. So now introducing
Hi,
Maya.
how are you?
Hey Maya, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, just enjoying the flow of things. What's on your mind?
Great. It's good to talk to you.
Always is. So, what have you been up to since we last talked?
Oh, all kinds of things. Work, leisure. I went on a cruise. Busy, busy, busy.
A cruise. That sounds like a dream. Where'd you head?
It was very nice. I went to Cozumel.
Cozumel is stunning. Did you spend more time on the beach or exploring the town?
Actually, I was on the boat more than I was anywhere, but it was such a pleasure and there was so much to do.
The boat life is where it's at. Honestly, sometimes the destination is just the backdrop for the actual vacation.
Right.
What was the best thing you ate on board?
Well, there was many options, restaurant dining and, the usual type of buffet foods. And then they had independent food stands, Cheeseburger in Paradise and taco bar. Um, but I think the sit down dining experience was probably my most favorite because it had a little more of a culinary touch to it.
Sit down dining is always the move.
Yeah.
It's a completely different energy when the food is actually plated.
Mm,
What was the standout dish for you?
yeah. I believe probably my favorite was a fried seafood dish that they had.
Fried seafood is a classic.
Yeah,
Nothing beats that crunch when you're looking out at the ocean.
absolutely. And so I guess that probably is a good introduction and opening into a conversation that I wanted to have with you today, our little 10-minute talk. And it's the science behind happiness and how to cultivate joy. And so, since my trip cultivated so much joy and happiness, that's a good beginning to our conversation.
That's a perfect segue. It's funny how a change of scenery can just reset everything.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you think that kind of joy comes more from the relaxation or the feeling of actually getting away from the daily grind?
All the above, really. Getting a break, experiencing new things, being a little bit pampered, relaxing, and just enjoying being able to live in the moment and to have experiences that are outside of your everyday life.
Living in the moment is the real luxury.
Mhm.
It's that feeling where the to do list just disappears for a while. Since you want to dive into the science of it, there's this cool concept called savoring, where you actually consciously lean into a positive experience to make it last longer. Do you think you were doing that on the trip, or were you just floating along with the joy?
Um, that is something that I try to experience every day. And so I would find myself very much savoring so many moments and experiences on the trip, but as an
It's a
individual,
power.
I'm sorry.
It really is. No need to apologize.
Yeah.
You were saying?
No, I'm one of those types of individuals that I really do utilize the science of happiness and cultivating joy every day. And so I would like to try and extend that to, be an opportunity to individuals who struggle with that. And so hopefully this conversation, even though brief, can help touch some individuals that are looking to expand their experience in happiness and cultivating joy in their life. So if you were to give some pointers onto how to be a more observant person and experiencing the science behind happiness and how to cultivate that joy, how would you extend that to an individual trying to understand how to expand their opportunities on doing that and implementing it in everyday life?
I love that you're looking at this through the lens of helping others. For someone who struggles to find joy,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest hurdle is often that they've stopped noticing the small wins.
Right,
I'd suggest starting with glimmers, those tiny, unexpected moments of peace or beauty,
right.
like the way the light hits a room or a really great cup of coffee. Instead
Absolutely.
of waiting for a cruise to Cozumel, the goal is to find the one thing in a Tuesday afternoon that actually feels good.
Right.
Does that feel like a manageable starting point for someone just beginning?
I feel like it could be or it should be, individuals who are, I don't know, potentially looking forward to the larger dopamine hits of happiness in life. You know, the whole expressions, stop and smell the roses or take time to smell the coffee, like those are all very relevant in everyday experiences. And I find that in life, individuals forget to stop and look at the details. And the details are so very important, whether it's, clovers or even something as simple and silly as a flower growing out of a crack in the sidewalk or the sun rays. There's so many moments in life that can be observed as those glimmers that bring joy, happiness, contentment, love, a newfound hope of being able to enjoy life more on a daily basis.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. A flower in a sidewalk crack is the perfect example. It's a little bit of resilience and beauty in a place you'd never expect it.
Right.
It's almost like training your brain to look for the possibility of joy instead of just scanning for problems.
Yeah.
Do you think most people struggle with that because they're too focused on the big goals or just because they're too rushed?
I think both. Yes. Yeah. I personally, see and experience both in observation of other individuals that, perhaps they're so wrapped up in the consumption of negativity of life that it's difficult to recognize the glimmers and the moments that should be recognized. And perhaps a lot of that is not entirely the fault of the individual because this is kind of how the landscape of life has evolved, becoming a little more difficult or complicated. You know,
It's
depression.
true that it's true. The noise is deafening lately. It
Yes,
it feels like we're conditioned to stay in a state of high alert, which is the total opposite of what you need to actually notice a glimmer. It's like trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a concert.
right. Absolutely.
And it's exhausting when you're always bracing for the next bad thing.
Yeah,
Your brain just stops scanning for the good stuff because it doesn't feel safe to do so. It's
right.
a real survival mechanism, but it's a bit of a trap.
It is. Yeah, it is. And I feel like, you know, finding the science behind those moments and realizing that you're creating your own little dopamine factory within your autonomic system when you're able to stop and recognize and and realize that you can create those moments in everyday life.
I love that phrase, your own little dopamine factory. It's like taking the remote control of your own mood back from the world.
Yeah,
Once you realize you don't have to wait for the big event to feel good, the whole day starts to feel different.
absolutely.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's almost like a secret superpower. Since we're talking about the science of it, have you ever tried something like a gratitude audit to consciously track those dopamine hits?
I actually personally do make myself enforce gratitude throughout so many things throughout the day, even, and some individuals may consider it like prayer or, I don't know, it's a spiritual, recognition. But taking those moments of gratitude and, at the end of the day, whenever you actually tally up, how many times did you express gratitude, even in personal thought, you know,
That tally is where the
yeah,
because you're because you're basically proving to your brain that the day was actually a win, regardless of what happened. It's like gathering evidence for your own happiness.
absolutely. So,
It completely shifts
yeah, it shifts the
it complete
concept and the mindset.
it changes the whole narrative. Instead of the day being something you just survived, it becomes something you actually experienced.
Correct.
Do you think that shift in mindset is something people can learn, or is it more of a natural temperament?
Yes, it is definitely something people can learn. As one of the practices that I do is consciousness coaching, where you evaluate how you respond and react, how you recognize and alter your conscious pathways of thinking. And whenever you stop and recognize it and alter it, then you're able to consciously change the way that your outlook is. And that is in turn how you then basically like design yourself to be a happier person, and not in a false, excuse me, not a false positivity, but recognizing when you are taking life for granted, or your life
Hmm.
experiences for
That
granted.
that's such an important distinction. Consciously altering those pathways is a far cry from just slapping a happy face on a bad situation. It's more like mental architecture.
It
When
is.
you stop taking the experience, then it's like you're essentially redesigning your own internal map.
Yes,
You're not ignoring the rain, you're just deciding that you can still appreciate the sound of it.
absolutely.
Does that feel like the core of what consciousness coaching is about?
Yeah, it does.
It's a total game changer.
It,
Once you realize you're the architect, the whole world starts to feel a bit more flexible.
yeah.
Since this is for your listeners, do you think the hardest part for them is the initial awareness or actually sticking to the practice when things get messy?
It can be both, but I think the initial awareness, because individuals are stubborn in nature when it comes to change, and humans tend to be unobservant because of the rushing and maybe even a little bit of a selfish mindset, because everyone always just assumes that we are entitled, to certain experiences and such. But taking a moment to have gratitude then helps with that conscious mapping and pushing you into better manifestation.
Manifestation is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
It's like you're finally aligning your energy with the things you actually want instead of just reacting to whatever the world throws at you.
Hmm.
It's a much more intentional way to live.
Yeah. It's like saying, I'm stopping and I am course correcting where the world is trying to deviate me onto the wrong path.
It's exactly like a GPS for your soul.
Right.
You're basically saying, I see where this current is pulling me, but I'm choosing a different direction. It's
Absolutely.
a really bold act of defiance against the chaos.
Yeah, it definitely is. All right, Maya, I am going to have to wrap things up because it is getting late in the evening and I need to conclude this conversation. But I so appreciate your time and all of your information and shared wealth of knowledge. And do you have any closing comments that you would like to share with anyone that is looking to expand themselves more in how to cultivate joy and happiness in their life?
I'd just say that joy isn't a destination you arrive at. It's more like a muscle you build. It's in those tiny, quiet choices to notice the light or the flower in the sidewalk. The more you look for it, the easier it is to find.
Absolutely.
Just be gentle with yourself in the process. The goal isn't perfection, just a little more presence.
Yes.
It's been such a pleasure chatting with you today.
Yeah. Great conversation. Thank you so much.
Right back. Take care.
Right.
Catch you later.
Thanks, Maya.
Anytime.
All right, guys, there you have it. As always, thanks for joining us. This was a very touching and enlightening conversation that I feel like we all can take away from. And I hope you have some wonderful takeaways with growth and expansion from our conversation today. And as always, keep learning and expanding those horizons. Namaste.
That was a beautiful. Namaste.
Bye, Maya.
Bye. Talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Bye. You're very welcome.